Depending on your child's level of communication, you can talk to them about this. If they're an older child and this is something that they are doing at school, and you can start talking to your child about how this might affect social relationships and provide tools to help. We don't want to just bring it to their attention and not provide them with what to do instead. We want to bring it to their attention, talk to them about it, help them understand why they're doing it, and then give them the tools for in the moment that they can use instead of chewing on their shirt or chewing apart their pencil or chewing their hair. What are they going to be able to use to replace those behaviors, those oral seeking behaviors, and then give them those tools to do so.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and this is All Things Sensory by Harkla.
We are both certified occupational therapy assistants, and together with Harkla, we are on a mission to empower parents, therapists, and educators to help raise confident and strong children of all abilities.
On this podcast, we chat about all things sensory, diving into special needs, occupational therapy, parenting, self-care, overall health and wellness, and so much more.
We are here to provide raw, honest, and fun strategies, ideas, and information for parents, therapists, and educators, as well as other professionals to implement into daily life.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there, welcome back to All Things Sensory by Harkla. We are so thrilled to have you here with us today for another fantastic episode. I'm Rachel.
I'm Jessica.
And today we're talking about oral sensory seeking, which means, get your mind out of the gutter, it means that...
Oh my gosh. I don't know if anyone was thinking about that until you just said it.
I actually don't think about it, but I don't know.
Oh,
It just got to keep you on your toes, make sure you're really listening. But this is for kiddos who are chewing on everything. They're putting everything in their mouth. They come home, their shirts are soaked, their sleeves are ruined, their pencils are chewed on like dog toys. They cannot get enough input to their mouth, to their proprioceptive, to their tactile systems.
Yep. So we're going to talk about oral sensory seeking. We're going to give you some tips and tricks. We're going to address a couple of specific questions from Instagram in regards to oral sensory seeking. And then we also have a podcast listener question at the end. So we're going to do a lot of things today.
We're going to do a lot of things. But first, what is oral seeking? Why is it important? What do we need to know about it? The first thing we want to keep in mind is that we want to see babies mouthing objects. They learn through their oral system what things feel like, what's safe, what's not, what does this texture feel like. They have to learn and explore orally before they move on to their next system. So we want to see them mouthing things up until 18 months to 2 years old. If they are not mouthing things as a baby, that is a red flag, and we need to look into that.
What happens, like Rachel said, so babies learn about their environment through their mouth, through that hand-mouth connection. And if something isn't working right, if there's a disconnect or a sensory, what we call a sensory traffic jam somewhere, then the child might exhibit these oral sensory seeking behaviors later on as a way to continue to learn about their environment, as a way to regulate their nervous system, as a way to manage anxiety. Because when you are biting or chewing or sucking or blowing, you're actually giving your body a form of proprioceptive input, which is regulating to the nervous system. So sometimes we'll see oral sensory seekers seeking out this input because they're trying to stay regulated.
Mm-hmm. Or focused or attending. I always joke that my brother-in-law is like a chronic oral seeker, and he always has been. And he'll have the little plastic water bottles with a little plastic ring underneath that connects to the twist top. He'll take those off and he'll chew on those.
Oh, interesting.
And we'll find those all over, chewing tobacco, chewing, I don't think he even chews gum, but constantly has things in his mouth. I'm like, bro, you are seeking so much input.
Yep. Well, Logan, my son, is an oral sensory seeker.
He is.
He has gone through phases where he will chew on his shirt, he'll chew on his fingers, he'll chew on his pencils. So, we have a lot of gum all around our house, in my truck. Like, he chews gum all the time.
Yes. And my niece is the same way.
Yep.
The hair. It was always the hair.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
moral of that story is that it is a really common thing. It's really common, and we really want, there's a lot of potential causes, but we want to get to the root cause if possible. The root cause.
Which is what?
That's what we should talk about. There's some potential, I don't know, different root causes. It could be a sensory seeking. They're craving that proprioceptive input, that tactile input, to regulate the nervous system, to stimulate the vagus nerve. It could be trying to open up the airway, especially for people who are grinding their teeth at night or through the day. It could be, if you do this really quick, if you breathe through your nose, take a deep breath in through your nose with your mouth relaxed, and then you clench your jaw, and then you take another deep breath. Your airway is more open when you clench your teeth. So if that is a concern, we want to make sure that we're ruling out airway disorders. So in that regard, it could be related to those different options, or it could just be that traffic jam that we talked about, and they are anxious and they're uncomfortable, and they are using that to soothe their nervous system, to regulate it, and just to focus and feel calm throughout the day.
Now, if your child is mouthing or attempting to ingest non-edible items like bark or rocks, oftentimes this is actually a sign of pica, and it's related to nutritional deficiencies typically. So that is going to be something to rule out through blood work with your doctor.
Yeah, and just to be aware of that as well. So
Yes.
The other thing that we wanted to touch on is when a child is overstuffing their mouth and putting, too many things in their mouth, and it's not safe. They're choking, they're gagging, and spitting it out. That can be a potential lack of oral awareness, proprioceptive awareness, tactile awareness that we want to make sure we're addressing as well.
So what do you do if your child is seeking out input through their mouth?
Or you.
Sure.
If you're a grown-up and you're listening to this and you're like, this is me.
Sure. Number one, heavy work for the whole body. So anytime we are seeking out oral sensory input, we're getting a lot of proprioceptive feedback. So what we want to do is incorporate more full body heavy work to get that same input to the nervous system. So things like animal walks, full body vibration, joint compressions, deep touch pressure like massage or using a weighted blanket. Anything that works the muscles is going to be beneficial.
Yes, and making sure that you are doing this proactively throughout the day as well. Not just, I see they're putting something in their mouth, let's do some proprioceptive input. This should be like the sensory snacks. Like you are feeding their sensory system proactively throughout the day, giving them enough input to potentially satisfy that need to help them reduce putting all the things and chewing all the things in their mouth and putting everything in their mouth.
Yep.
And then we want to incorporate more oral activities as well. Sucking, remember, sucking is very calming, very organizing. Blowing as well works on a lot of that proprioceptive input to the chest and to the lungs. So doing things like bubble mountain or getting a straw, and I like using cereal or like little M&Ms and like grabbing the straw and putting it in your mouth and like sucking up and holding it and then transferring it from like one bowl to the other bowl. Blowing, sucking can be really, really helpful to meet that need. Blowing a cotton ball, blowing bubbles. Yeah.
Depending on your child's level of communication, you can talk to them about this. If they're an older child and this is something that they are doing at school, and you can start talking to your child about how this might affect social relationships and provide tools to help. We don't want to just bring it to their attention and not provide them with what to do instead. We want to bring it to their attention, talk to them about it, help them understand why they're doing it, and then give them the tools for in the moment that they can use instead of chewing on their shirt or chewing apart their pencil or chewing their hair. What are they going to be able to use to replace those behaviors, those oral seeking behaviors, and then give them those tools to do so?
Yeah, and if you can have a conversation with the teachers, if this is a challenge at school, and brainstorm like what's working, what's not working. I remember when my son first started preschool, when he was just barely 3, I can't remember what he was chewing on, or if he was chewing on his hands or on, I just remember something orally was going on. So I got him a little Arc Therapeutic chewable baseball bat necklace and would send that to school with him. And I remember checking in and being like, okay, how is everything? What are we doing? And his teachers were saying that he was having a harder time focusing when he had the chewy, and that he was doing better without it. And they were just cueing him of, reminding him whatever. I can't remember what he was doing, but there was something orally going on. And they said he was doing better without it. And so I finally just stopped sending it and the behavior went away. But my guess is it was likely nerves or anxiety, uncomfortable with the new setting, going to preschool for the first time.
Yep.
So
yeah,
having those conversations can be helpful.
Yes. Next is to add more oral motor input into the food, to meal time, to snack time. So try different flavors, but try foods that are crunchy and resistive. Things like carrots and celery, apples, peppers, grapes, things that provide more resistance when you chew them, if it's safe, of course. Also, any frozen foods are going to regulate the nervous system. It stimulates the vagus nerve when we eat frozen foods. So popsicles, even just ice cubes are so regulating. I have several clients at the clinic right now that is their favorite regulation tool, is to go to the kitchen, scoop out a couple pieces of ice, take a break to suck and crunch on the ice, and then go back.
I mean, how many adults nowadays have those like ice makers that make like the little pebble ice?
That's what we have at the clinic.
Yes, and they just crave that ice,
It's because ice is so regulating.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. The other thing that we love to do is smoothies through a straw. So make a nice thick smoothie, hand them the tiniest straw. No, I'm just kidding. But hand them a straw and have them drink the smoothie through the straw. It provides a lot of resistance, as well as oral motor. I call it oral motor sour spray, but it's just sour candy spray. And for our kiddos who are, putting everything in their mouth or chewing on things, or you just overstuffing, they lack the awareness, giving them a squirt of the sour spray can help wake up their oral structures and say, oh, this is where my tongue is. This is my cheek. Oh, okay, good. Now we'll map it out, right? We've got a map of where it is. Vibration is another good one. The Z Vibe is a great by Arc Therapeutic. I recently came across the Buzz Buddy by like School Supplies or something like that. And that one's a really great option as well. But it's just a little vibrating probe that you can do intraorally and extraorally, and they can bite it. They can scoop their food with it with a spoon. And vibration just really helps to meet that proprioceptive seeking need.
Yeah. One of my favorites. If the oral sensory seeking is related to anxiety or stress, we really need to identify those triggers. What is causing the anxiety? What is causing the stress? And then implement some tools and strategies. Either remove what's causing the anxiety and stress if possible, or work on that stress management using some of the tools we've talked about, the heavy work, maybe some ice,
maybe a weighted vest,
maybe a weighted items are great, maybe chewing gum.
So identifying the cause, providing a replacement, making sure that we are not shaming the child for, chewing on their hair. Johnny, you're chewing your hair again. Stop that. It's going to make your hair all wet. It's going to mess your hair. Johnny, I guess Johnny probably wouldn't have long hair.
Johnny might have long hair.
Joanna, Johnny.
Boys can have long hair too.
Boys have long hair that they're chewing on. Girls,
just because you won't let Trip grow his hair out long.
Just making sure that we're not coming at this from a negative angle, right? Focusing on the proactive strategies instead of, you're acting like a baby. You tell them to stop, and then you just say, figure it out, but you don't actually give them a replacement.
Yeah, you do have to teach them what to do instead. So anytime we are telling our child, don't do this, we have to teach them what they can do instead. Otherwise, it won't work.
Which you should just change that verbiage and just, instead of saying, don't do this, say, here's a chewy tube you can chew on.
Or you can even use it as it looks like you need something to chew on. Here's a chew tube.
Yeah. So, I think that's the moral of that section, is just, avoid using the strategies as a reward. We've talked about this a lot, and sensory strategies shouldn't be used as a reward. They should be used as strategies to help regulate the nervous system. So instead of having the child work in order to earn the sour spray, you can do that in other situations, but for an oral seeker, providing that proactively throughout can be helpful.
Yes. All right. So a couple of specific situations from questions that we got on Instagram. The first one is a 4-year-old who is constantly putting things in their mouth. So first we want to understand why. Why is this 4-year-old putting things in their mouth? Is it related to a nutritional deficiency? They're trying to eat non-edibles. If that's the case, we need to get some blood work done to identify those nutritional deficiencies. Typically it's iron. And in that case, ice is a great tool to use in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Once you've potentially figured out the cause, then we are going to offer a replacement strategy. We are going to start providing some of those. And again, it oftentimes is trial and error to figure out what is working, what's not working. Do we need to do Bubble Mountain in the morning and at night?
Yes.
Do we need to give them a smoothie for breakfast?
Yes.
Do we need to do an obstacle course before school?
Yes.
Try all the things and see what's going to help. But the fact that you are aware and you are, asking these questions is really helpful. So yeah, I would just start implementing some things and see if you can find something that sticks.
Yep. The next one is what to do about nail biting in children. Fun fact, I chewed my nails when I was a kid.
How come?
I think it was because I was a shy child. I was nervous. I know. Logan has gone through different phases of nail biting as well. He's 11 and he's currently in a nail biting phase. For him, I think it's, he's an oral sensory seeker. So I do know the reason. And it's just a matter of, hey, you're chewing your nails. Why don't you go get some gum instead? And him catching himself. That's the goal. That's what we're working towards, is him doing it on his own.
Yes.
Usually it's if he's watching TV. Mm-hmm. So it's almost become like a habit. Mm-hmm. He's watching TV and his brain has that habit formed to then chew his nails.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like breaking that habit.
Definitely. Providing a fidget or something to hold on to.
Oftentimes nail biting can be related to stress and anxiety. So we want to identify that as well.
Exactly. And then, like Jessica mentioned, just having a replacement, coming at it from an angle of, hey, I see that you're doing this. Why don't you try this instead? Or, if they have the ability to say why they're biting their nail, maybe they have a hangnail, or maybe they like their nails really short, or maybe something's bothering them. They've got like a little, prickly thing that they're just very sensitive about how their nails feel. Maybe talk about putting like the clear nail polish on, or putting colored nail polish on, or, just changing it up. I had a bad habit as a kid doing this, to the point where I literally had
do that again. What is that?
I don't know. It's just,
is it popping?
No, I'm just pulling my finger down on my web.
I thought you were popping your knuckle. They were popping your knuckles. Like, that's the loudest I've ever heard that. I know what you're doing.
One of my friends in school was, taught me how to do it. And we just literally would walk around like little punks doing that all the time. And I had a blister on my web space from it. And my mom gave me a polished rock as a fidget. And that I just carried that around, and that cured my habit.
Great.
Yeah.
Polished rocks.
So there you go.
All right, the next one, hopefully that's helpful. The next one is a 6-year-old who recently started biting and chewing his shirt. Identify why. Again, it's always about why. Why is this happening? Why is the child doing this? 6 years old, did they just start school? Mm-hmm. Did they just enter into a new social situation that is maybe causing some stress and anxiety?
Did we remove something from their daily routine? Are they getting less sensory input elsewhere? Are they at school all day, so they're not getting enough movement during the day? But generally, I see that as a regulation strategy. They're nervous, they're uncomfortable about something, and they are regulating through chewing. So providing them with a water bottle that they can suck on, and it provides them a little bit more input, or chewing gum or
a chew necklace.
Teach them to push their tongue to the roof of their mouth, suction it there, give them, other strategies that help make them feel secure in the environment.
Yep.
Rule out retained primitive reflexes, of
Always.
course. I don't know if we talked about that, but there is definitely a connection there too.
Yep. Okay. Hopefully those were helpful.
Is that all?
Yes. We do have a long-ish listener question. There's a lot of good details here.
Okay.
Are you reading it or am I?
You go ahead.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Listener question.
Facing you.
Okay. A 4-year-old nonverbal pre-K student with ASD diagnosis, an intense sensory seeker, loves intense spinning, deep compression, and climbing. He also loves water play. Water is
I love this.
creme de la creme. I can never say that.
Isn't it creme de la creme?
Sure.
I don't know.
For this kiddo, puddles outside, water at the bottom of the sink, spills on the table, you name it, he's there. We're running into challenges with potty training at school. He runs into the bathroom and wants to flush the toilet repeatedly, watch the water swirl, and flap his hands in it, as well as flap his hands in the water in the sink. We've had to blockade the bathroom in the classroom because of this. When seated on the toilet, he tries to put his hands in the toilet and reaches behind to flush the toilet. We've tried doing toileting following his OT sessions, providing him lots of sensory input. We tried putting on therapeutic listening and having him hold or look at a liquid hourglass timer object, which he found interesting for a moment, but promptly put it in the toilet and attempted to flush it. Any suggestions for how to hack this challenge? I love that.
I'm just
looked at it and then stuck it in the toilet.
Yes. So my question, is he potty trained? We're running into challenges with potty training.
So they're working on potty training. But because of his seeking the water.
For water.
My first thought is more tactile sensory play, more messy play. I wonder if he is avoidant of other textures like shaving cream, or if he would love that, but doing more tactile messy play.
I'm even wondering how he would respond to like a sensory story or a social story that shows him the sequence of the steps to the bathroom. And after he goes, we walk into the bathroom, we walk into the stall, we go to the bathroom, we flush the toilet, then we get to play in the water in the sink, wash our hands, and he can maybe see the steps.
I would either do it, either on like a Velcro strip with pictures of each step that you take off as he completes them. Or if he has an AAC device, you have that sequence on the AAC device and he can work through them on there.
Yeah, I just don't know how successful we're going to be with giving him something to do instead on the toilet. I think this needs to be a very rigid, structured thing. Every single time we go into the bathroom, it's got to be the same, and the expectations have to be the same. Maybe we set the timer for how long he gets to play in the water when he's washing his hands. And it's very like, I don't want to say strict and rigid, but I think that we need to be strict and rigid because we don't want this poor boy putting his hands in the toilet. That's just not functional and it's not appropriate. So I think that we do need to have some pretty consistent boundaries here with this. And my guess is he will thrive knowing that he gets to play with the water after he goes to the bathroom, and when it's expected that he can play with the water and check that out.
And maybe also using a visual schedule for his daily routine that includes water play as part of the daily routine. So he gets to engage in a water table play activity every single day, and it's on the visual schedule so he knows when it's coming. It's going to take a lot of repetition, a lot of assistance to get through it, but you're going to do it and you're going to practice it, and then have water play at a water table or in a bin as part of the daily routine elsewhere so that he is getting what he loves. I was also thinking he loves deep compression and climbing, so we want to do a lot more full body heavy work, maybe some full body vibration with a vibration plate to give him a lot of intense sensory input.
Okay, well, let us know if that was helpful. And if you have questions, you can always send us those questions. We have a forum, a link to the forum in the description. So definitely check that out and let us know if you have questions, and hopefully we can give you a path, a new idea to try.
If this episode was helpful, you can let us know by tagging us on social media. We are at All Things Sensory Podcast. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, and share this episode with a friend.
We appreciate you being here. We love and just want to hug all of you. We'll plan on seeing you next week, hopefully.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to All Things Sensory by Harkla.
If you want more information on anything mentioned in the show, head over to harkla.co/podcast to get the show notes.
If you have any follow-up questions, the best place to ask those is in the comments on the show notes or message us on our Instagram account, which is at Harkla_family or at All Things Sensory Podcast. If you just search Harkla, you'll find us there.
Like we mentioned before, our podcast listeners get 10% off their first order at Harkla. Whether it's for one of our digital courses or one of our sensory swings, the discount code SENSORY will get you 10% off. That's SENSORY.
Head to harkla.co/sensory to use that discount code right now.
We are so excited to work together to help create confident kids all over the world. While we make every effort to share correct information, we're still learning.
We will double check all of our facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art.
One doctor or therapist may have a different way of doing things from another.
We are simply presenting our views and opinions on how to address common sensory challenges, health-related difficulties, and what we have found to be beneficial that will be as evidence-based as possible.
By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or your child.
Consult your child's pediatrician or therapist for any medical issues that he or she may be having.
This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening.